Welcome back. On today's episode of the VC Project, we're going to be tackling this corner bedroom, which is right next to the bedroom that we just did. If you didn't see that video, I'll put it up in the cards. This room was most likely a child's bedroom based off of the cute bare borders, but it's not really my vibe, so let's go ahead and change that out. The stickers were eventually removed and we put a bed in there because this is where Dee's parents primarily slept when they came over. I also moved in some functional pieces of furniture just so they could be used in the meantime. So this is what the room looked like after that. And then we had also scraped off most of the popcorn ceiling, but there's still remnants of this room left over, like that cute light switch. At this point, I'm still trying to figure out what direction I want the room to go in, but one thing I do know that I have to do is clean up. One of the first things I do to modernize the room is to update the vent, switch, and outlet covers. Since the vents in the house have weird dimensions and I can never find the exact dimensions at my local home improvement store, I usually turn to the internet. There was an initial scraping to remove the popcorn ceiling, but it just didn't do the trick, so I'm going in a second time to get the ceiling really flat. We also bid a farewell to these old 1986 style outlets. Make sure that anytime you do anything with electrical, you turn off the breaker. As I was walking around the home improvement store trying to figure out what to do, I ran into this nickel gap panel, and at $35 a panel, I thought it'd be the perfect focal moment. With the nickel gap as my anchor, I knew exactly what I was going to do. Dee's parents are huge advocates of culture and heritage, so I want to incorporate pieces that are meaningful to them in a tasteful way. In addition to heirlooms and cultural embroidery, I want to add a pop of green with low maintenance plants, light woods, and functional furniture such as a sewing station since she loves to sew. The panel was cut to the same height as the height of the drop zone. I'll put that in the card above and down below. And here we're trying to figure out the exact dimensions. "18-gauge 5/8" inch nails were used to secure the panel directly into the studs. I opted not to do industrial adhesive in case I wanted to remove the panels and not damage the drywall. When the last panel was secure, we were finally ready to move on. Paint is the easiest way to transform a room, but in order for that change to stick, you have to prep. So we are sanding the ceilings and then wiping everything down. After prepping and priming the nickel gap, I go in with my favorite color, and you guessed it, it's Storm Chaser by Magnolia. I want the room to be calm and relaxing, so we opted to paint the ceiling as well. To achieve that, we mixed a custom color using all of our leftover paint. After mixing and playing with the paint, we got this beautiful light gray color. We loved that gray so much that instead of just keeping it on the ceiling, we brought it down a foot, essentially where that old teddy bear border was. The rest of the room was painted a stark white, which is a beautiful contrast to Storm Chaser and the customized gray paint for the ceiling. After all that prep and hard work, there's nothing more satisfying than ripping off the painter's tape to reveal clean, crisp lines. When the paint was dried, these brackets were installed to hold up a wooden shelf on top of the paneling. The shelf was made of a 1x4 cut to size and then screwed to the brackets. A brand new cordless blind was also installed, along with some curtains that were picked up from my local IKEA. I use these modern black curtain rings to match the rod, and apparently there's an art to hanging curtains, which I got a crash course in as I was trying to figure out how to hang these. I'm going to list a few curtain hanging videos below just so you can reference them. I opted to extend the rod the entire length of the wall for a more dramatic look. Just in case you are wondering, the panels are 96 inches long and I had used 4 panels for this wall. These curtains weren't my first choice, but they were on sale at IKEA for $7 a panel, which honestly is a good deal because curtains can be really expensive these days. Painting is always concluded by putting in the new switch and outlet covers. The vent also came in, so that was installed too. The nickel gap panel and the shelf were heading in the right direction, but it needed this last touch to finish it off. I used Zinsser Bullseye Primer to prime and then went over it with Storm Chaser. While that was drying, I took this as an opportunity to finally style that beautiful raw wood shelf. I found this dried floral which resembles rice and picked up this vase from the thrift store. I nestled this arrangement in the corner, and to secure it since it is going over the headboard, I used command strips. I also displayed this beautiful family heirloom that Dee's mom gifted to me, which was something that his grandmother made. This beautifully hand-sewn piece is called a dachal, which is traditionally seen on the back of Hmong women's shirts. To add balance to the dried florals, I also put a low-maintenance snake plant. When displaying things on shelves, the rule is to add things in odd numbers. So my 5th element was a va, which is a traditional Hmong tool used to separate rice grains from the husk. I always like additional seating in bedrooms, so picked up this chair from the Facebook Marketplace for about $50. Once the molding piece dried, it was brad nailed to the top of the nickel gap.
One of the other many side projects that I am working on right now is making a sewing table of sorts for Dee's mom because she loves to sew. She would use this modular IKEA table that had wings on it, so whenever she wanted to sew, she would ask either Dee or I to help her put the wings up and put it in the middle of the room. Even though that was a really good surface area for her to sew, it just wasn't something that was feasible. It's hard to move, there's no casters on it. So the idea is to take a cube shelf, lay it on its side so that it's a little shorter, and then adding some type of additional surface area to it, and it has to have casters. So I plan on putting cubes in the cube shelf as well with sewing supplies and putting a sewing machine in here so she could use it whenever she wants. So this 30-inch piano hinge is how we're going to be attaching the extra space to this cube unit right here.
I purchased a melamine sheet that was the same thickness as the cube shelf, and it's being cut to size so that we can secure it to the shelf with the piano hinge. A wooden piece was screwed to the studs, and this is the same level as the bookshelf with the casters on it, and this is gonna support that extension. The entire trick to this piece working is the hole that is being drilled right here. There are matching holes in that wooden piece attached to the studs, so the melamine extension would open up. It would rest on top of the wooden piece, and then a pin of some sort would connect the two and secure that extension. The fit was perfect, and with the pins in, it'll be sturdy enough for her to put her sewing machine on there as well as cut fabric. This was a Facebook Marketplace rescue that I was determined to turn into a nightstand. To make this piece look more modern, I removed some pieces of the face frame. Once I got to the point where I liked the shape of the piece, it was time to prime.
Alrighty, it's day 7,000 of this room makeover. This is the last piece that I'm working on. I did get a few things to finish this up. So I primed these last night. I'm going to be painting them black. It's going to be the same black that I painted the chairs, the caviar black. I also got some legs. I was thinking about making my own legs, but that was just too much time. I need to finish this room makeover by the weekend. And then I also picked up some walnut stain for the top, so it's going to be a black nightstand with a wood top, and the wood kind of matches the headboard. And then I also have a little plant side table in there to like hold a plant or a cup or something like that. So we're gonna hope that I can finish this tonight. It's looking pretty promising, but if this stain here doesn't work out, I'm concerned that it's gonna go more yellow than dark. We might have to go back to the drawing board and maybe just paint this entire thing black, but I'm hoping that's not the case. I also have some extra gold knobs, and if that looks weird, I'll probably end up spray painting them black, but right now I just need to finish this nightstand so that I can move on with the rest of my life.
Despite the fact that more than half of this makeover is that focal point wall, I wanted to switch gears and work on the gallery wall, which turned out to be my favorite thing. I used this gallery wall as an opportunity to display all the things that Dee's mom loves, since she's going to be the primary guest in this bedroom. This shadow box with the neutral backing was a perfect way to display this traditional bib necklace. I secured the necklace with a bunch of push pins just to make sure that it wouldn't move once it was up on the wall. At the time, I was also dabbling in embroidery and thought that this would be the perfect opportunity to make a floral piece resembling a traditional cross-stitch design. The trickiest yet most satisfying part of a gallery wall is figuring out how to space all the pieces and where to hang them. This is several months into the future, and I am so sorry about having to do a voiceover because there was a ton of white noise. I'm basically explaining that even though the room was pretty much done, we had to undo it because new flooring was going to be installed along with baseboards. The floors and boards are finally done. I am so proud of Dee and all the hard work that he put into making our house into a home. Also got a new rug from At Home. It's like off-white, grayish with navy stripes, which will go perfect with my favorite wall. This room has come such a long way, and with several metamorphoses, I am so proud and excited to share the final look.
Can't get you out of my head. Try to stray, try to forget, but the thoughts, they seem to drown me instead. I've always wondered what it takes to fill this empty void inside.
After a couple of super long months of putting the room together and then taking it apart to do the floors and then putting it back together again with a new rug and different things, I can finally say that we are done with this room, minus a couple of seasonal decor changes. So I'm really happy that we have this one checked off the list. We do have a couple of other rooms that we're going to be fixing up too, so stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know that my partner's parents really loved this room before it was done, and they're gonna really like it now that it's completely finished. Thank you.
Something about ya makes me wanna be with you for a long time. Do-ba-do-be-do.